In this video, we'll learn the different types of strategies to becoming a millionaire as a teenager. If you like these types of videos, don't forget to comment down below. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, as well as hitting the notification bell for new notifications of when I post. Now, before we begin, you must understand the key difference between an asset and a liability. Many people believe that an asset is just something that makes you money, while a liability is something that loses you money. But however, this is very not true. An asset can lose you money. However, the intent is something that you own to make future economic gains. And a liability is something that you owe to someone. For example, an asset could be a stock. And if that stock drops in value, it is still considered an asset since you bought it with the intention of making money. Then a liability is something such as debt. With that debt, you promise to owe money back to the lender, and you promise that you were going to lose money in the future. Even though you lost money, this does not mean that it is 100% a liability. Now that you understand these two fundamental terms, let's begin with our first strategy. Our first strategy for today is to develop a millionaire mindset before you reach the age of 18. Now, a millionaire mindset is important since it will differentiate yourself from your peers, and it will also make it easier and faster for you to become a millionaire. Now, there are many different types of ways to developing a millionaire mindset, and the first step, that's the easiest, is to read books about personal finance and success. In these books, you will find many different motivational and informational guidance towards becoming successful, especially with money. Now, if books aren't your thing, there are many online summaries as well as PDFs that you can use, especially if you don't want to waste money as well. Now, the second way to developing a millionaire mindset is actually going on Google search or YouTube and finding millionaires who talk about mental ability towards becoming successful. This is super important as these people have proven to be innovative and impactful to the world, especially on the monetary side, which is exactly what you're aiming for. Now, my second strategy for today to becoming a millionaire is actually to spend less money. This will build a good habit of not wasting your money, and it will help you so that later in life, you won't spend that much time and effort towards having to become frugal as you're already comfortable with a lifestyle of living below your means. Even though there are many different ways to building a habit of not wasting money, the two ways that I suggest is only spending money on yourself and not trying to impress others, while also spending money only on necessary items and things that bring you true happiness. Now, a pro tip is to write down your expenses every week on an Excel sheet or a piece of paper and figure out what you're spending on the most. For example, you may be spending a lot of money in Starbucks even though it doesn't bring that much happiness to you, and in this case, you can limit this. This is super important as you'll realize your habits you may have been ignoring before, and this will help you realize what you're spending your money on and will make you much more money conscious. The third strategy to becoming a millionaire is to build compound growth instead of arithmetic growth. Compound growth sometimes to people seems risky and also harder to do at the beginning since your returns are less. However, if you keep on going with compound growth, your returns will be substantially greater than arithmetic growth. Now, compound growth is anything that's exponentially increasing over time, such as a stock, which may be increasing 10% over time, and that 10% can go a long way, whereas arithmetic growth could be receiving a paycheck every month, and this paycheck isn't going to keep on increasing over time because the price is going to keep on going up the same amount. Whereas with a stock, if it's going up 10%, that 10% is going to keep on growing bigger and bigger. Now, the first way to use compound growth to your advantage is to invest it rather than save it. So, investing your money rather than saving it is a very big and financially great way to make money because you are able to turn a really small amount of money into a lot of money over time, of course. So let's take the average person. The average Joe, which in the United States stands for the average person making an average monthly income and doing everything that in terms of average. Let's say they take their average monthly income and save 20% of it to a bank every month. If they were to do this, they would have $500,000 after 50 years. However, if they were to invest the same amount of money into an average investment, such as an index fund, they would have posed a return of $9 million. This is over 18 times larger than the savings account, showing the power of compound interest. The second way to using compound growth to your advantage is to focus more on what you keep rather than what you earn. So if we take the example of the average Joe from before, if they were to cut back on some expenses, they would have seen that their returns would have gone double the amount that they had made if they had invested 40% of their monthly income. Now, This means that they would have made almost $20 million after the 50 years. If you were to take one of the highest paid people in the world, which is a salary of 200,000, and they were to invest 20%, or sorry, save 20% of their monthly income, they would only have around $24 million, which means that just by being an average Joe and investing, you're already way ahead of everyone else. And you can see how just by being average yet investing, compound growth was able to aid someone to reaching the arithmetic growth of someone making thousands and thousands of dollars every month. Here's the thing, you may have heard your parents say that the best way to building wealth is to get a good paying job. Although getting a good paying job can allow you to invest more and post better returns, this does not mean that you should only focus on getting a good job. One of the most important things to realize is that by cutting back on expenses, you're already ahead of most people, and most people who make a lot of money as getting a high paying job end up spending a lot of money of theirs as a lifestyle way of living. And by doing this, they even though they're able to live a high lifestyle, they're not going to save as much money in the future, and they might not have enough for retirement as they haven't saved or invested enough. So here, guys, listen to this. Since times have changed, it is important that you take these two tips. Once you make your monthly income, make sure to keep most of it by cutting back on costs while still living a lifestyle that you like. Even though it cannot be a lifestyle where you're spending thousands and thousands of dollars, just make sure that you're living below your means. As long as you have a normal job, you'll be able to do this. And there are many ways of being able to be happy without using money temporarily. But if you follow this, you'll be able to invest it and make millions of dollars later, where you can use money to everything that you want to do in your life. The fourth strategy to becoming a millionaire is to focus on riskier assets towards the beginning. And risky isn't always a bad term. Many people associate risky with gambling and being speculative. However, when you're a beginner and you're first starting out, it is important, since you have a really small amount of capital, to learn a lot about types of assets such as real estate and businesses, becoming familiarized with these two assets, as they can produce a very high return on investment. If you focus just on these two assets, they will produce a very, very high return, which will make you much like less than an average Joe, and will make you reach much more money than just $500,000. You can start learning about real estate free online with no payment whatsoever. All you have to do is go on YouTube or Google search and look up Beginner's Guide to Real Estate. Now, right now, I'm going to tell you guys why real estate is such a great investment tool. So let's take an example. Let's say you saved up $10,000 and you wanted to become like average Joe and invest it into an S&P 500. Even though this is a really good idea, once you have a lot of money, $10,000 isn't going to pose you really great returns compared to buying it with using it for real estate. If you were to put that $10,000 and put into an FHA loan, which is a loan that you can use for a mortgage to a house, you can actually get a property for $287,000. This means that just by putting down $10,000, the bank will let you control an asset that's worth almost $300,000. What this means is that a $300,000 home that goes up only 10% will make you $30,000, which is 3 times your original investment. This means that just by putting down $10,000 and getting the mortgage, you'll be able to make much greater returns for something that you can control much easier. You can actually renovate your properties in order to make sure that your house is appreciating. And if you make sure to buy at a time when prices aren't too high and you're buying at a undervalued price of the market, your house will be able to appreciate over time. Now, here's the thing, guys. With real estate, you have to understand one thing. Even though you control this property, you may be asking, well, what about the mortgage? Well, with the mortgage, you can actually get a tenant in the property. You just need to make sure that that tenant is paying more than the mortgage, so you're able to actually cash flow from the real estate. So not only are you able to make appreciation gains, but you're also able to make cash flow, which cash flow just means money that you're making temporarily and that's coming into you quickly rather than having to wait for you to get it. And with this money that you're making plus the appreciation, you will make much faster gains than if you were to leverage your stocks in something that you cannot control as well. Now, even after all that convincing, if you still think that real estate isn't for you, then you're not alone. There are many people who are millionaires, and in fact, there are over 50% of millionaires who are business owners. This means that there are many people who don't own real estate and have still been able to become successful. The problem with business, however, is that it may be riskier than real estate, as it is something that there's a lot chance for greater returns, but there's also a greater chance of losing your money. With a property, it is not likely that you can go to zero, whereas with a business, you may actually lose everything, your entire capital that you put down. So guys, with a business, make sure that you're doing a lot of research and making sure that you're not putting too much money into your business. Make sure you start out slowly, and if it does well, then it's a great way to make money. Now, let's say you were able to turn this $10,000 into $300,000, and then you were able to reinvest all your gains to make $5 million. With interest and with compound interest, it is not that hard to actually reach this goal. You just need to make sure that you're determined. And once you've reached that 5 million, you have to go to strategy number 5. And strategy number 5 isn't so much of becoming a millionaire, but it's actually staying as a millionaire. So once you've reached a high amount of money, you want to make sure you diversify a little more, since you have a little more room to lose, and you may lose a lot more money, which means that you want to keep on staying as a millionaire, since you don't want to risk your money now when you're at a good point in your life. So once you've reached 5 million or whatever point you want to reach, you want to make sure you diversify by investing into index funds, and even by making an average return of 8% a year, you're still able to make over $450,000 a year through a $5 million investment into index funds. And you have a much greater chance of not losing your capital, since it is much less riskier. Now, the reason why I say to invest in real estate and businesses when you first start out and not with stocks after is because stocks are great for when you have a really great amount of capital, and because you are able to make a much greater return with stocks when you have a greater amount of money, and it is much better to play with stocks since they are less riskier than real estate and business, yet produce a less amount of money. If you were to put this 8% and use it when you had $10,000, you would make an yearly return of only $80. So you can see the difference in the two, and why you should use real estate when you have much less, and why you should use stocks when you have much more. Anyways, guys, that's the end of the video. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment if you have any like advice towards what you want me to post. And yeah, guys. So I hope you guys have a great day. And yeah, see you guys next time.